All right, welcome to the program. We'll begin from London, where the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, that's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, addressed a mixed audience of Nigerians and foreigners on his vision for Nigeria. He also settled the controversy about his birth and academic qualifications, as well as condemned the incessant attacks on INEC facilities in Nigeria. Let's bring you some of the moments from that historic session.
There is an emerging trend of attacks against the personnel and infrastructure of the Independent National Electoral Commission in parts of the country. At the same time, political conversations on social media have become more laced with violent rhetorics and threats of violence, retaliation against those opposing, perceived as opposing partitions. I stand firmly against all forms of electoral violence and intimidation. I'm ready to lead and govern the country, not with a long list of priorities for the future, but with a plan for the collaboration in the best interests of the country. I love the country I love and dedicate myself to for a lifetime. I hope you will receive me then as gracious as you have today. At the time of birth, I was dated March 29, 1952, and the family record. I didn't think then, that day, I've determined to be, or decided to be, a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not even that I will go to politics. I've a very good exposure in life. My record is consistent. And the school and the university, they question. They now convinced that they wasted their money and their time. The record is there. The transcript is there. So in March 1952, I'm not claiming another father. I am Tinubu and Tinubu proper. If they want a DNA, they could as well require for one. One of them has been even accused of not being a Nigerian citizen. I didn't touch that area. Yes. Equally, it remains the same. Deloitte, Chicago State University, where I graduated, has attested to that. Now I can announce that I've received my original replacement degree certificate from them. The Deloitte trained me as an accounting firm. Mobile has attested to my record, a standing record. I got to the pinnacle of my career. And the private sector, who among them can brag about that?
Many times, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been the victim of speculations and rumors about his age, qualification. And at this historic meeting with Nigerians, he addressed the issues, and we hope this will be for once and for all. But let's talk about the issues that the presidential candidate of the APC pointed out beyond the issues of his age and the controversies that have been generated by the opposition. Babajide, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu emphasized on the fact that this is a nation he has served for most part of his active life. He has been committed to and is ready to take on the responsibility of the president come 2023.
Yes, and he underlined the fact that he loves his nation so much. If he didn't love his nation, he wouldn't have fought the military. He wouldn't have supported efforts to enthrone democracy in our country, and he invested his resources. Or the people benefiting from democracy today played no part in bringing about democracy in our nation. But they are the ones enjoying it today. So Asiwaju Bola Ahmed played a big part in the enthronement of democracy in our country. He financed the pro-democracy organizations. Some of them even lived in his house, you know. So, and don't forget Radio Kudirat, that was the main thorn in the flesh of the military at that time in terms of what they were broadcasting. He was deeply involved in the financing of Radio Kudira. So he fought for democracy. He could have chosen to be like a turncoat, and he could have benefited from it. There were politicians who hobnobbed with the military and were rewarded with contracts and all that. You know, some of them even came up with all kinds of schemes to ensure that the military didn't leave power. But his choice was clear on the side of the majority of our people who wanted democratic rule. So you cannot doubt his love for his nation. But we know that in a political season, people will come for you. Even if your integrity is as white as snow, people will still come for you. I'm not saying that he's a perfect human being. I've never said that here. And he has not enlisted my support to romanticize him. No politician has the capacity to get me to romanticize him. And I'm not boasting about this. But Asiwaju's interest is clear. He wants the best for his nation. He could sit back and simply spend his money and enjoy the rest of his life with his grandchildren. But he wants to serve, and he has made it clear that he wants to serve. Those who were not there on the day that he was born, who are quoting all kinds of ages. This is 80-something, it's 84. In fact, somebody even suggested that it's older than Baba Adebanjo. And I'm like, there are so many people whose heads need to be examined. If you can imagine that he's older than Baba Adebanjo. And then you saw another picture in which he was standing side by side with Bob D. You know? So you could tell that even the age difference between the two of them. So these things will happen. They said he was going to relocate the federal capital from Abuja to Lagos. This is something. You also heard that they said that the Americans refused to give him a visa. What some people want to see is to hear that he's been arrested, he has a dirty drug past, he's been arrested in America. Okay. What? That's not happening.
All right, GKB, let's look at the issues here. It's not the first time Asiwaju has been the subject of lots of controversies and rumors. But here at this meeting, he addressed it square on. Do you think perhaps Asiwaju or the presidential candidate of the APC feels it's about time that this dust has to settle and clear the coast for what will be an interesting election come 2023?
Well, knowing the Nigerian commentators, those who run commentaries on social media and TV and radio, it will not go away. Because in fact, if you were to become president and serve 8 years, there are still people who are to continue talking about this. That's the reality of our nation. There's nothing one can do about that. I think coming out to tell us exactly the point that people have been making for a while. The moment you fill in a form at 6, you're not filling the form thinking that in 40 years, I'm going to run for president, so let me all tight. Nobody does that. But in Nigeria, because civil servants do that all the time, they assume it applies to everybody. So people simply transfer their own insecurities onto the candidates. And they bore it with class, if I may say. Because some of us don't have that kind of patience. To be insulted, your children to be insulted, your late mother to be insulted, your children who have not done anything to anybody. Who, most of them, apart from the boy, have been minding their own business and doing their own runs. You still want to drag them to this matter. They will ask you a question about your own candidates. All you want to talk about is Asiwaju and his family. It's beyond irritating.
It's because it's the amount of it.
BKO, before Asiwaju addressed this issue, the court had spoken, where the court ruled against it. Many of these organizations from the University of Chicago and Deloitte have written several letters to state clearly that Asiwaju at one time attended the school, worked with them and all that. But the naysayers have continued to come with all kinds of shenanigans to discredit the credibility of the candidate of the APC. Do you think now the electorate can now make a better decision now that the presidential candidate has cleared the air on this?
I don't even think that the electorate were waiting for him to talk about this. People have made up their minds who to vote for. Those who hate you can say all kinds of things from now till the end of that election. Those who have made up their minds have made up their minds. So even if Asiwaju didn't talk about this, it wouldn't make any difference. But it still made sense that he talked about it, because I've read people say, no, he never worked at Deloitte. He's a liar. He lied that he worked at Deloitte. You go to a place like the UK to say you worked here and that they were the ones who trained you as an accountant. I mean, there's no way Asiwaju could be that reckless to lie about where he did not work. And that's one of the biggest companies in the world, one of the most respected companies in the world. So you can't force yourself to have worked somewhere where you didn't work. You can only talk about your records, where you worked, not where you didn't work. And that's what is done.
Where you want to work.
Where in your dream, where in your dream you wish that you...
Before we move to other aspects of our conversation on the show today, GKB, on a final note, let's look at the implication of this in the runoff to the elections. Would this further eat up the polity, or this would calm the nerves and we can now focus on the issues and the manifestos of the candidates?
I wish I could be positive. God willing, I wish I could tell you that is true. But the level of toxicity in the system now is beyond repair. And will continue until the election, even after the election. Some people have not gotten over what happened in 2015. And they are transferring that anger onto the next candidates of the party. And if after 8 years, they will still transfer it to whoever else is coming. So I don't think we are going to go away any soon. But like Gide said, people have made up their mind. As they say in Yoruba, I don't know how to translate it, because it will lose the essence. But Yorubas will say, if you put someone on the right hand, and put palm nut on the left, and walk backwards from Ekiti to Iseyin. Those who say you've done nothing will say you've done nothing. And so there's nothing going to say that will change the mind of those who are against us.
They have made up their mind to be on the other side of the fence. Well, of course, that's the beauty of democracy. People can have their say, but of course, the majority will always decide the direction. Well, we look forward to the elections. The countdown is just 81 days to the elections, and I'm sure in the coming days, the coast will become clearer as well as for the candidates. Well, let's